All right, Linda, are you ready? Okay, everybody's ready? We're good? Okay. All right, I'm going to go ahead and call to order the Thursday, September 26, 2024 meeting of the Wildlife Commission's Contest Committee. And I'm going to ask Commissioner Booth to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Booth. Linda, could you do roll call for us, please?
Committee Chairman McLinch.
Here.
Commissioner Booth.
Here.
Commissioner Walther.
Here.
Thank you. And do we have Deputy Attorney General Ott online?
This is Stephanie with Broadcast. He has not connected yet.
Thank you.
We were expecting him. Okay. Well, we'll do a couple little house cleaning things here and before we get moving. So a couple of real quick items before we move to public comment. Agenda item number 2. If you have not signed in already, please do so. And when we get to your public comments, I ask that you make sure to sign in and announce your name clearly so that it's on the record. If we could do that, please, and we'll try to remind you a couple times as the meeting goes on. So with that, I will move on to agenda item number 2, public comment period. Persons wishing to speak are requested to sign in. Public comment will be limited to 3 minutes. No action can be taken by the committee at this time. However, the committee may consider items brought up to be scheduled on a future committee agenda. So as we transition into this public comment period, we've got this. We know that this is a real controversial issue. We all know that. We all understand that. So I'll bless you. One more. Okay, good. All right. So what I ask is that, that we conduct our business with a high level of civility tonight, respectful comments, respect to each other. I wouldn't expect anything less, but I do ask that of everybody. I don't know how many people are online wanting to speak. There are obviously a handful of people here in the room. So this is not the public comment period. Well, you can talk about anything that you would like, but unless I hear otherwise from Dag Ott, we'll provide opportunity to speak during agenda item number 5 after the presentations. That was the intent, and I don't think we can go wrong offering more opportunity for public comment. So if you are following up, if you're later in the process and you're entitled to your 3 minutes, but if there's any way that if the things that you're largely that you've have already heard a number of times, ditto or shorten up your testimony, we'd be greatly appreciated. So, yeah.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Warren Hardy, representing the Humane Society of the United States. Just a point of order question. So the presentations will occur, then we'll open it for public testimony. Will there be an I don't know which side's going to go first, but I assume there's going to be an opportunity for the other side to rebut or make comments on the presentation of the opposite side, whichever side goes.
That we will handle it that way, so that there's not a
you.
concern for who went first. And
it doesn't matter to me. I just want to make sure each side has a opportunity to respond to what.
Yep. So with that, is there any public comment? I guess we'll ask, is there any public comment in Reno or Las Vegas here in the room? Yes, sir. Come on up. And please state your name and we'll go from there.
There we go. Yes. Hi, I'm David Niekirk. And I want to start by saying I'm a U.S. Army veteran, served as an officer in the Army for 10.5 years. And my first comment is, with great
responsibility and firepower comes tremendous responsibility of managing that and controlling that. And I want to say that our wildlife resources should be conserved and held in trust for all our citizens. Our wildlife must only be killed for a legitimate and non-frivolous purpose. Often these hunting events where their games use military-grade high-tech rifles equipped with night vision and thermal scopes, along with spotlights and electronic calling devices. The United States Department of Agriculture data shows dogs, coyotes, and wolves are responsible for less than 0.5% of cattle and sheep losses. Indiscriminate killing of these animals in killing contests upset the critical ecological balance in nature. In fact, it was way back in 1842 when the United States Supreme Court laid the ruling as United States common law that our natural resources, wildlife, are owned by no one individual, and it is the responsibility of government to hold and preserve these resources for the benefit of all present and future generations. This 1842 ruling, known as the Public Trust Doctrine, serves as the standard for all state and federal government in the United States of America to establish protective regulatory authority over wildlife benefiting all animals and all citizens. Wildlife killing contests are in complete violation of this public trust doctrine, and this is ruthless killing frenzy without consideration for the life of the animal, the damage this does to the habitat, and the negative impact on the critical environmental ecosystem balance between carnivores and prey. Killing contests are unethical hunting and ultimately degrades the sanctity and value of life and undermines the respect for animals being hunted. These killing contests give sportsmen and women a bad name and damage the concept of sportsmanship and fair chase in hunting. Killing contests are simply slaughter fests for fun and are stomach-turning examples of wanton waste of our precious natural resources. And as a former officer in the Army, I look at this with disgust and how we are treating the animals around us in such a way that they're simply being slaughtered for fun. And it's something I hope that the commission will consider and make Nevada
That
a
is your
shining
3
light
minutes.
to the rest of the nation. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, if we could, so I'm going to ask that we don't cheer and clap out of respect for others that may not agree. So please, anybody else for public comment? Okay, is there anybody online?
One moment,
BPS,
Chair.
do we have? Thank you.
Thank you.
If you have recently called and you would like to provide public comment, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. Again, if you would like to provide public comment, please press *9 now.
Caller, you are unmuted and may begin.
Thank you. This is Patrick Donnelly. I'm Great Basin Director with the Center for Biological Diversity. We, of course, oppose coyote killing contests for all the reasons that I won't get into today. I'm glad you're taking another look at it. I would just offer this comment that if the idea is to put this issue to bed, which I think we'd all like to have it put to bed, then I would strongly urge this committee not to end up in a place where you are regulating coyote killing contests. This is not an activity that ought to be regulated. It should be banned. And regulated coyote killing contests will only make this problem worse, not better. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Evan Shelton. I'm from the Reno area, and I just generally oppose hunting if it's for anything other than, food for you and your family. Hunting for sport is personally egregious to me, and I hope it's banned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. For the record, Fred Volz. After 4 previous attempts at dealing with the out-of-control wildlife killing contest issue, what has changed now? Certainly not the attitude of the individual wildlife commissioners, where the faces are different, but the strident obstinacy continues unabated. Forming a committee such as this one suggests action, but has been a convenient way to do little of substance, then proclaim everything is fine and dandy, as we have seen with the previous bear and trapping committees. Even the committee name has been sanitized to suggest darts or bingo contests, not mass death. The only current commissioner who has been willing to objectively listen to both sides of this contentious issue has been the committee chair, Commissioner McNinch. He deserves acknowledgement for attempting to be balanced when others have steadfastly refused. But his professionalism does not mean that anything this committee might ultimately recommend will be approved by a majority of his 8 colleagues, given their dismissive attitude toward the well-documented HSUS petition earlier this year. Wildlife Department management and biologists could give lessons on monastic silence, as they have repeatedly failed to weigh in on the biological disaster caused by wiping out entire species in a targeted geographic area for the purely subjective rationales of tradition, fraternal fun, and unregulated gambling. No management plan exists for these contests or the species they target, just as there aren't such plans for trapping or the trophy bear hunt. Some wildlife killing groups, including the Coalition for Nevada's Wildlife, claim mom, apple pie, and the American way of life will vanish if they aren't able to engage in mass destruction of the public's wildlife for their entertainment. They claim setting a season and requiring purchase of hunting licenses are adequate guardrails when those steps do nothing to stop the mindless slaughter and endangerment of public safety, the antithesis of the ethical hunter's ethos. They ignore the North American model's precepts of killing wildlife only for a legitimate purpose and science-based wildlife policy. The arguments, the evidence, the science, and public opinion are overwhelmingly on the side of ceasing these barbaric and ecologically reckless mass wildlife killing contests. None of that has mattered to 4 separate sets of commissioners over a 9-year period. Are this committee's efforts an exercise in futility? The public will judge the sincerity and representativeness of the Wildlife Commission toward non-licensee interests, both human and wildlife, with this 5th iteration and proceed accordingly. And I would ask that these comments be added verbatim to the record. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak tonight regarding wildlife killing contests. My name is Barry Levinson, and I am representing Sierra Club and its 40,000 members and supporters in Nevada. I'm also a retired physician. To be clear, Sierra Club is not opposed to regulated hunting. In fact, many of our members are active hunters. However, Sierra Club is 100% opposed to all wildlife killing contests, where there is mass killing of wildlife for monetary awards, trophies, or just bragging rights. Our wildlife is already under tremendous strain due to human-induced causes. Habitat loss from the build-out of our homes and infrastructure is removing land that wildlife depend on to live. Wildlife is also struggling due to human-induced climate change, with increasing temperatures causing drought and fires and creating other challenges for animals simply to survive. We don't need to add to this strain by allowing recreational mass killing of wildlife. The Nevada Department of Wildlife agrees that these mass killings serve no useful wildlife management purpose as they are ineffective in controlling predator populations. We know that when a lot of coyotes, for example, are killed, the remaining coyotes reproduce at a faster rate to compensate for the loss. Killing contests create instability and chaos in coyote family structure, which allows more coyotes to reproduce, encourages the immigration of outside coyotes seeking the space and resources, and can increase conflicts with livestock. And killing contests do nothing to increase populations of game species such as deer. To be clear, banning killing contests would not ban the killing of problem predators. Ranchers and farmers would still retain the right to kill predators that threaten their livestock. I have heard the argument from some that participate in killing contests that they enjoy these as a family event. I would propose an alternative family event that would be much more healthy for both the community and the environment, such as a fun run, a skeet shooting competition, or a volunteer day to clean up a local park. We know that there are many sportsmen who oppose these contests. These contests are a wanton waste, and they give Nevada and our ethical hunters a black eye. We strongly encourage the Wildlife Commission to do the right thing this time and ban these killing contests. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Naomi Dewar, and I am the Vice Mayor of the City of Reno, a City Council member for Ward 2, and I'm also Chair of the Washoe County Animal Advisory Board. Almost 3 years ago exactly, the City of Reno passed a resolution in support of banning wildlife killing contests in the state of Nevada. We recognize the importance of the ecosystem in the city's master plan, the protection and conservation of wildlife habitats. We know we have a vibrant outdoor environment which provides numerous activity opportunities such as biking, camping, hunting, fishing, and mountain climbing. But the Reno residents and visitors who engage in legal hunting on the public lands and support that activity at this time do not support wildlife killing contests. We recognize that the ethical hunting includes accepted practices for acquiring food, recreating, managing wildlife, and protecting private property. However, when you kill certain unprotected wildlife species, such as coyotes, in order to win monetary or other prizes, you do not stand for the professional ethics that have gone along with hunting since it began. The unlimited killing of unprotected wildlife for cash and prizes do not align with traditional tenets of wildlife management practices. And a number of states have banned wildlife contests all around us, from Arizona, New Mexico, California, Washington, and Colorado, as well as others. We are very, very hopeful that this committee will move forward a recommendation to the larger Wildlife Commission to eliminate wildlife killing contests in our community and in our state. We are the second largest county, Washoe County is. The city of Reno has over 50, almost 60% of the population of Washoe County. We enacted this resolution, as I mentioned, 3 years ago. We truly ask you to do the right thing. Help us, help you. Thank you so much for listening to my comments.
Thank you.
Caller with the last three digits, 821. Please press *6 to unmute your phone. Caller with the last three digits, 821. Please press *6 to unmute your phone. You may begin.
Hi, my name is Grace Patorti, and I live in Stead, Nevada. And I grew up in a family where there was always hunting, there was always camping, there was deer and venison in the freezer, and my father loved to eat squirrel and rabbit. But while we lived with hunting and eating of wildlife, we were taught as small children that you must respect wildlife, and you would never go out and kill just to kill. If you were to do that in my father's house, you'd be grounded for a month. And it was a serious violation of the trust in our family. And that's what I think these wildlife contests have done. They've taken away the respect that people have and should have for wildlife resources. And I just want to say we love hearing the coyotes. We hear them all the time. We respect them. And the other thing is, in this community, which has hosted wildlife killing contests, in the past 5 years, there's been a lot of education done. And whereas people used to say, oh, go out and shoot the coyotes, they eat our cats, now there's a change in attitude. People have learned to, one, keep your cat and your dog in at dawn and dusk. And they know that the coyotes are here. They know that they're not evil beasts that are out to kill everything. And they've learned to live with the coyotes in peace. And I just hope that Nevada can learn to do that too. Thank you.
Thank you.
If you have recently joined the caller queue and you would like to provide public comment, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Again, if you have recently joined and you would like to provide public comment, please press star 9 now.
Okay, is this ready for my comment now?
You may begin.
Hello? Okay, yeah, my name is Craig C. Downer. I'm a wildlife ecologist and a wildlife activist. I'm a member of the Species Survival Commission for the World Conservation Union, and I've done a lot of work here in North America as well as in South America. I investigated a case of a varmint killing contest back several years ago, and it was a terrible thing to witness. And even the trapper and her son, who brought this to public attention, were horrified. What happened was a whole band of wild horses north of Gerlach were massacred, and they came upon this right after, and they figured it was done to attract so-called vermin of various species and shoot them so that they would win the contest that was sponsored by Sportsman's Warehouse. And I wrote a report about it, and there was a $15,000 reward offered for apprehending these grisly perpetrators of this crime. That's why I'm quite opposed to these vermin or killing contests. I think they show a lot of disrespect and sort of very brutal and backward way, barbarian way of living with nature. We should learn to, I really appreciated the earlier comment by the lady about learning to live and let live and making sacrifices so that these various species that have been here for thousands or millions of years can continue to play their important roles in the ecosystem, including the coyotes and the bobcats and skunks and all the various animals. But when it takes even a trapper to blow the whistle on something like this, it's pretty horrible, and people get carried away. And I've spent a lot of time out on these public lands doing various studies, and I've come across various incidents of these very cruel and acts that cause terrible long suffering of the animals. So would appreciate it if you join the other states or vote to join the other states in outlining these animal killing contests. Thank you.
Thank you.
Caller with the last three digits, 261. Please press *6 to unmute your phone. You may begin.
Hello, my name is Jana Hoffidis. I'm a resident of Palomino Valley. I would like to address two issues. Most, if not all of these contests, I'm sorry, I can't even talk tonight, take place on public land, BLM. A special recreation permit is required for these events to be held, but BLM has told us many times there is not enough manpower to enforce their own rules and laws. So I've gone out there with my pickup and watched what comes down and watched what comes back into the one Washoe County killing contest that takes place. And I will tell you that it is very indiscriminate as far as you get a bigger prize for a pregnant coyote. You get a special prize for the smallest coyote and the largest. And they'll have a mountain lion hanging up there or a bobcat. It's kind of random now. I'm assuming they have a tag for those, but it's pretty bad. And I've dealt with almost being shot at, and it's pretty crazy out there. The adrenaline picks up. The other issue I want to discuss really quick has to do with coyotes and the idea that they can decrease the sage hen population. Not so. Habitat loss, habitat disruption. That is what can that is what really can do it. And I have a article that is titled "Sage Grouse and Indirect Interactions: Potential Implications of Coyote Control on Sage Grouse Populations." It's an awesome article. I can email it to your wildlife commissioners, and you can take a look at it, and it really explains what truly is affecting sage hen populations. So I do want to thank you guys very much for giving us this chance to comment, and I will be listening to the rest of the meeting tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Caller with the last three numbers, 991. Would you please press *6 to unmute your phone? You may begin.
Hello, my name is Irene Payne and I'm based in Reno. I would ask that serious consideration is given to stopping these horrific wildlife killing tests. Blood sports like this have no place in our wonderful state. It's actually an embarrassment when people outside of Nevada learn that blood sports like this continue to have a place in our society. If you talk to a responsible hunter, you will know that they absolutely do not support events like this. In fact, it damages the reputation of ethical hunters. Our state's wildlife should be for everyone in the state, and yet you allow a small minority to indiscriminately kill our wildlife and get pleasure from that killing. It is a violation to all of us who live in this state and love our wildlife. We are paying the price to pander to a very small group of what could only be called bloodthirsty individuals who have no regard for our wildlife. If you were to ask, you would know that Nevadans do not support killing contests, and part of your role is to listen. So I would ask you to listen to what the average person of the state has to say about these blood sports and then act accordingly. And the only act is to stop it, to stop these contests and to stop them straight away. Thank you very much for allowing me to public comment.
Thank you.
If you have recently joined and would like to provide public comment, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. Caller with the last three digits, 778. Please press *6 to unmute your phone. Again, with the caller with the last three digits, 778, please press *6 to unmute. You may begin.
Good evening. Calling from Carson City, Nevada this evening. My name is Laura Fusen. I am reporting this as a very sad day when I must write to my state government and plead for animal welfare. I'm writing about the Nevada kill contest that's been going on for years, and I'm asking that you stop the kill and reassess our values for wildlife. I understand killing for meat to eat, but I do not understand killing for fun, for a trophy, or for the pride of taking a life, an innocent life, just trying to survive by instinct with nature. Now there is a skill. For Nevada to host, support, and promote such an event is barbaric. I realize Nevada is a hunter state, but for the sport, for the thrill of a kill, while these animals will not provide food and merely be discarded, this blows my mind. I'll never understand or condone this. I, for one, would rather walk in the woods, desert, mountains, and spot a living, breathing, wild animal. I am truly concerned that these animals will one day be extinct if such kills are permitted. There is enough permitted hunting for edible animals. Let's stay with that. Stop the kill contest, please. And thank you for letting me voice my opinion.
Thank you.
If you would like to provide public comment, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. You may begin.
Hi, my name is Robin Orloff. I'm calling from Carson City, Nevada. I ditto everything that's been said so far. I am in opposition to the killing contest for all the reasons already expressed. I'd like to talk about something a little bit different. I'd like to thank our CAB in Carson City for their willingness to listen to the public. We had a discussion. Several of us came to the meeting on Monday night in opposition to these killing contests, and we feel like we were listened with respect, and I'm hoping that our representatives will be taking our opinions to your meeting tomorrow or tonight or whenever that happens. I do have a concern, a different concern. I go to all the meeting agendas. I look for what I might be interested in speaking about. I saw that this was listed as a contest committee meeting, and I'm going, what is that? I had no idea what that was. I contacted the commission and DOW committee to please send me the agenda, and I was sent the agenda, but there was no supporting material, so I still didn't know what was going on. And if I hadn't gotten an email from a community agency telling me what it was about, I wouldn't have known. It's like contest committee. What is that? So I have a concern that the public is not being informed adequately of what is on the agenda. There was no supporting material. I'm assuming that some of that must have been handed into the public body prior to this meeting tonight and tomorrow. There's no supporting material for the meeting tomorrow. And the only thing on the agenda tomorrow, 7D, is a repetition of the agenda from tonight. So there's really not much information for the public. I don't feel like it's transparent that the public know what is being discussed so we can come. I wouldn't have even called in unless someone had sent me an email saying what this was all about. So I'm concerned about the transparency of this meeting. And also in regard to that, when Ms. Goff presented her petition back in March 8, 2024, there are actually 206 pages of public comment that came into the commission that were not put on the agenda or on the minutes, so the public would have had no way of knowing what the tenor is in this state, which is many of the public are against these meetings. So maybe at some point this could be addressed if the public is writing in why aren't we being shown on the agenda or in the minutes unless we ask specifically that our comment be made public record or on the record verbatim, as one caller already did. And I might ask the same thing, that my comment be verbatim in the minutes. And I've probably used up my 3 minutes. So I thank you for listening, and I thank the Carson City Cab for listening to us and for putting our public comments. Carson City puts our public comments whenever we write them in. So we appreciate that. And I look forward to the discussion. Thank you for allowing me to talk.
Thank you.
Callers, if you have recently joined and would like to provide public comment, please press star 9 now. Chair, there are no other callers choosing to participate and provide public comment at this time.
Thank you. Okay, so we
Chair,
will.
I apologize. I just wanted to advise that Chief Deputy Attorney General Ott is with us online.
Thank you. We'll take a break here at an appropriate time, and I'll talk with Greg regarding a couple items. So, all right, very good. Thank you for, this is a new process for me, chairing a meeting, using the legislative call-in process. It's a little different, so I appreciate all the work everybody's doing. So we'll do a quick committee overview. Unfortunately, maybe just the way the agenda fell out. I think we have a proper agenda in terms of, might have helped if we'd had the overview initially. Our last speaker brought up some good points, and I want to kind of give a real quick, at the risk of drawing things out too long tonight, but how did we get here? This process, the public's been asking for the commission to address these calling contests for quite a few years now, largely through the petition process. I did bring forward, I did ask for the commission to consider some language a couple of years ago. So on and off, we've been talking about this issue. What happened after the March meeting? During the March meeting, Ms. Goff and Mr. Hardy brought forward a petition to ban the contests. They pulled the agenda at my urging. They pulled their petition. There were reasons for that. I'd be glad to explain myself to anybody that would like me to explain. But they pulled their petition, and as a result of that, subsequent to that, the chair of the commission at the time, Chairman Caviglia, stood up a committee, which he is. That's what he does. That's what chairman of the commission do, is they stand up a committee to take input. And I appreciate Commissioner Walther and Commissioner Booth agreeing to sit on the committee. Sometimes it's pretty thankless up here. A lot of different ideas, a lot of different opinions. So I appreciate that they volunteered to sit in and be part of the process. This is the first meeting of that contest committee, and I have had conversations with numerous individuals, with the department. When is the best time to start holding meetings? What's the best forum? Do we go around every county, every town? Do we go around? I had my thoughts on it. In hindsight, there was some, it wasn't completely reasonable. It was very resource intensive, to what end. So I kind of sat on it for a little while, and there were conversations occurring. I appreciate Larry. I appreciate the conversations that I've had with you, Rebecca, Warren, same thing. There have been people that have had conversations back and forth on both sides of the issue. There have been people having some level of conversation. What's the best path forward? With people's respective positions and constituencies. I very much appreciate those. This is not an easy conversation to have anytime that there's major disagreement. So I appreciate the fact that both sides have been willing to have conversations behind the scenes. I've used the term organic, not something I've ever used until the last 5 years or so, but I was hopeful that through that process, with people talking that maybe something would come out of it. Maybe a path forward. Tolerances on one side of the issue, tolerances on the other side of the issue. Is there a place to work? And unfortunately, that may not be the case here. So some issues are just binary. You either have them or we don't. There might be room for compromise in certain situations, but this doesn't appear to be one of them. So I was asked to go ahead and stand up the meetings and get moving to take input that we can provide back to the commission. I made the agenda so that it was, the intent was to take comment, provide presentations so that people understood, had information from both sides of the issue, put it out on the table and people can provide their comment. We'll report that back to the commission. At some point, this committee, the intent is that we would make a recommendation back to the commission. Okay. So that's kind of where it stands. I apologize for the lack of, or perceived lack of transparency. It's certainly, the folks in this room that know me know that that's the one thing that I strive for. I try to be as transparent as I can. I don't like to get caught up in those types of issues. So we will strive to do better with our posting and our explanation of the agendas and what this committee is meeting for, so that we don't have try to break down those concerns. With that, there was a time as part of some of those conversations that there was through a couple of channels some proposals that were going around. I'm not sure that those were intended to get out. My name was attached to those proposals, and I will tell you that I have proposed nothing to date outside of what I've done over the last couple of years with my proposed language to ban these contests as part of at the commission level. So if you've seen anything that's been attributed to me, I can tell you that it didn't come from me. I just want you to take those things with a grain of salt. This is where we'll conduct our business, is right here. So we're going to go ahead and proceed here. Let me see here. I've made a few notes here. I think that's enough on the committee overview. Did you have anything you wanted to add?
No, we'll just move on.
Commissioner Walther, anything that you'd like to add?
No, not at this point. I appreciate the participation. I appreciate the comments. At this juncture, I'm just kind of gathering opinions and information.
Okay. All right. Well, with that, this is an informational item, so we won't take public comment on it today. We will move on to agenda item number 4, approval of agenda. Committee Chair Dave McNinch for possible action. The committee will review the agenda and may take action to approve the agenda. Committee may remove items from the agenda, continue items for consideration, or take items out of order at any time. Is there any concern or comment from the committee members? Okay. Seeing none, Commissioner Walther, I'll just assume that unless you stop me that we're good to go. So with that, we'll go ahead and take it out to public comment. Is there any public comment in Vegas regarding the approval of the agenda? Okay, seeing none, we'll take it out to folks online. Is there any public comment?
If you would like to provide public comment on this agenda item, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Again, if you would like to provide public comment on this agenda item, please press star 9 now. Chair, there are no callers choosing to provide public comment on this item at this time.
Thank you. Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairperson, I make a motion to approve the agenda as written.
Second.
Do I have okay, I have a motion for Commissioner Booth and a second, Commissioner Walther, to approve the agenda. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion passes. Okay, we're going to move on to presentations here. So the committee will hear presentations from proponents and opponents of coyote calling contests. The committee may ask questions and or discuss coyote calling contest, but no action will be taken by the committee. In the name of transparency, I will tell you that it was my intent to take public comment. And rather than make my phone call with Mr. Ott, I'm just going to ask him online right now, is there any problem with us taking public comment after these presentations?
Deputy Attorney General Greg Ott, no chair. The public open meeting law always allows you as the chair to add public comment periods whenever you feel it's appropriate. Just have to make sure that you're giving everyone the opportunity to comment whenever you open it up.
Okay, thank you. So we will take a public comment. And before we get started here, I will tell you that on both sides of this issue, you're going to hear things that are probably going to get your blood flowing. Okay. And I ask, sorry for, that's a horrible way of putting things. That's gonna get your mind working, I guess is a better, proper way to put it. So I'm asking you to take things within context. Understand that people on both sides of this issue are passionate about what they believe in, okay, and how they see things, playing out, and how they want things to be done. So again, I'm asking for your civility, your understanding, and we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to, like I said, we're not going to play this game of who goes first, who doesn't. So whoever would like to go first, I'll just ask one of you if you'd like to get started. We'll provide opportunity to have further comment from the folks that are going to present. And I appreciate you guys stepping up to kind of present. Okay. All right. Looks like Rebecca and Warner to get us started.
All right. We do have a PowerPoint presentation, so I'm going to pull that up. Okay, perfect.
Sorry, and if I could, before we get started, we were reminded that one mic on at a time. Otherwise, we get some issues and they start shutting each other down and it creates problems. So you guys are good to go. I'll get mine turned off.
Perfect. Can everyone hear me okay? Great. Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. My name is Rebecca Goff. I'm the Nevada State Director for the Humane Society of the United States and a proud Nevadan. With me here today, I have our co-presenter, Warren Hardy. And in the audience, we also have two of my coworkers from HSUS. They will not be presenting, but they will be available if there are questions at the end. We have Jill Fritz, Senior Director of Wildlife Protection, and Heather Carpenter, our Western Regional Director and fellow Nevadan. Wildlife killing contests are a blood sport, like dogfighting or cockfighting. They're organized events in which participants compete for cash and prizes, including champion belt buckles and trophies, killing for the most, the largest, even the smallest animals within a specified time period. Usually 1 or 2 days. After the killing is over, participants gather to weigh and count the bodies, take photos next to piles of dead animals, collect their prizes. At any given event, hundreds of animals may be killed. I do want to note that we're not talking about the regulated hunting of these species. Rather, we're talking about games that involve the random mass killing of wildlife for cash and prizes. In Nevada, the most common target is the coyote, but also bobcats, foxes, even raccoons, badgers, ringtails, beavers, and rabbits have been involved. The targeted animals tend to be maligned and misunderstood and often receive few protections under the law. For example, if you note the photo on the top right, which is from a Virginia killing contest, the license plate says Yote Hater. Here are a few examples of killing contests from around the country. They're often hosted by sportsmen's clubs and companies that sell weapons and ammunition, but also fire departments, 4-H clubs, farm bureaus, chambers of commerce, veterans organizations, even high schools and churches. But one thing they all have in common is the primary objective is to kill wildlife, cash, and prizes within a specified time period. There are an estimated 15 to 20 contests each year in Nevada. This is a sampling of some of the recent ones that have taken place across the state. As you can see, many of the posters for Nevada contests, which list the registration fees, criteria for prizes like killing the big dog or the little dog, the betting that's allowed, and the cash payout.
Also note the youth predator hunt. Children are often encouraged to participate in these contests, and our investigative footage shows young children helping drag bodies to be weighed and playing among the bloody piles. In 2023, HSUS investigators visited the check-ins of 2 killing contests in Nevada. I'm going to share some of that footage with you at these locations. These do include graphic images and video footage. At the Cold Springs Station Overnight Coyote Derby in Fallon, participants competed in categories for the greatest weight of 4 animals killed, which was awarded $3,000, along with the biggest coyote, the smallest coyote, and the lucky loser, which is given to a random team with no kills. To discourage cheating, the organizers checked the temperatures of the coyotes' bodies to ensure they were fresh kills. A participant said he used thermal imaging scope to kill a coyote who was just 12 pounds. He called the coyote a coy weenie and said the coyote was an effing itty bitty son of a bitch. He said that coyote was right underneath him and looking right at him. He smiled and imitated shooting the coyote at very close range. He said it was like shooting an effing weenie dog. At the 9th annual Coyote Ball at the Wayside Bar in Reno, 32 teams had just competed to kill the most, the largest, and the smallest coyotes, and purchased raffle tickets for 2 guns. The winning team killed 11 coyotes. Participants told the investigator that they used night vision and thermal imaging scopes, driving from location to location, using electronic calling devices that mimic the sounds of prey or young in distress to lure the animals to the trucks. If the coyotes didn't show up, they moved to the next spot. And there were other findings from this investigation that I'll talk about a little bit later. But for now, as I did in my presentation in March, I'd like the committee to turn its attention to the North American model of wildlife conservation and how it relates to killing contests. This is important because many state wildlife management agency professionals, wildlife commissioners, and hunters adhere to the tenets of the North American model as a set of guiding principles for ethical hunting and wildlife conservation. In particular, wildlife killing contests contravene at least 4 of these 7 tenets highlighted here, which I'll go over a little bit out of order. First, let's look at Tenet 4, which states that wildlife may only be killed for a legitimate, non-frivolous purpose. There's nothing more frivolous than the wildlife killing contest where participants turn wildlife, a public trust asset, into disposable pieces in a game for cash and prizes. Killing for food, self-defense, and property protection are generally cited as legitimate reasons under the North American model. But the animals targeted in killing contests are not killed for their meat or for any genuine wildlife management purpose. They are treated as a means to an end to obtain a prize, and then afterwards often dumped like garbage. There has been extensive media coverage of the dumping of large animals, numbers of coyotes in states including North Carolina, Wisconsin, New Mexico, and Wyoming, and an HSUS investigation of a killing contest in upstate New York, before they were banned last year, found coyotes had been tossed in and outside of dumpsters. This is not an acceptable use of wildlife that is held in trust for all Americans. In 2019, the National Shooting Sports Foundation and Responsive Management, which many of you know is the preferred polling for the firm for the state wildlife management agencies, surveyed Americans about their attitudes towards hunting, shooting, and trapping. When asked about the support for Americans for hunting, they found that support depended on the stated reason for that hunting. As you can see, those surveyed in the American West expressed broad support for hunting for meat and to get locally sourced food. But far fewer support killing wildlife for the challenge, and the fewest of those surveyed in the American West said they support hunting for a trophy. There's also strong public opposition to wildlife killing contests. In January, the respected bipartisan Remington Research Group surveyed 1,000 likely general election voters and found that 80% of Americans surveyed were opposed to wildlife killing contests. Only 14% of those surveyed were in support. Now, I ask you to look at this footage from our Nevada investigation last year and think about whether killing these wild animals is done for legitimate, non-frivolous purposes.
Yeah. What got you into this thing? Being able to shoot me is a fucking want. You know what I'm saying? Better than people.
When is it leaving?
That's a big one right there.
Oh, you missed it. I saw him shaking, but I didn't see a coyote. throw your dog on the back of the Oh, man. This one's right.
They're all pretty better than that. 100 yards, I'm never going to miss anything bigger than Bobcat.
Wait up.
It does. I love that. Bubbling up. The blood will flow.
Can anyone at all, with a straight face, refer to this type of behavior as killing for a legitimate purpose? Killing contests also contravene Tenet 7, which states that scientific management is the proper means of wildlife management. To justify wildlife killing contests, participants use fear-mongering and falsehoods to promote the narrative that if coyotes aren't controlled, they'll overrun our communities, decimate deer and other game species, and kill large numbers of livestock and pets. These myths help perpetuate the belief that the animals should be killed in unlimited numbers, thus allowing the contest to continue, like the one in this photo from Southern Illinois. But wildlife management professionals and leading scientists across the country have pointed out that predator control, including in the form of wildlife killing contests, serve no genuine wildlife management purpose and may even be counterproductive to sound wildlife management. It does not reduce coyote populations and may even result in more coyotes because of compensatory reproduction and a decrease in competition for resources. As biologists with the Pennsylvania Gaming Commission told the state's hunters, after decades of using predator control such as paying bounties with no effect and the emergence of wildlife management as a science, the agency finally accepted the reality that predator control does not work. And research studies and reports find that preemptive removal of coyotes in an attempt to protect livestock does not work, and recommended more effective and economical, non-lethal preventative measures like good fencing, guard animals, and other responsible husbandry practices. Studies also show the inefficiency of killing coyotes and other carnivores in an attempt to boost numbers of game species like deer or elk. They point out that access to good habitat and nutrition are far more important to the survival of the species. The bottom line is that native carnivores like coyotes serve a wide variety of free, natural, ecological services. Coyotes and foxes control rodent and rabbit populations, which can harbor tick-borne diseases like Lyme and destroy crops. In fact, wildlife professionals around the country point out to the benefits of coyotes to farmers and ranchers. The Nevada Board of Wildlife Commissioners has a responsibility to protect all of our state's wildlife from wanton killing for cash and prizes, including these misunderstood species. Now let's look at Tenet 2 of the North American model, which states that commerce in dead wildlife is eliminated. This tenet is aimed at eliminating markets and commercial traffic in dead wildlife. During any given wildlife killing contest, hundreds of animals may be slaughtered for private profit. In order to accumulate registration fees that are distributed as prizes, killing contest organizers advertise the contest date and time, the registration fee, the prizes that are being offered, the categories for those prizes, and any betting, raffles, that are allowed. But make no mistake, as the Michigan contest on the top left says, it's all about the dash for the cash, the big payout, the bounty, the side pots, and the Calcutta betting, and the trophies, such as the one on the top right. Those are coyote skulls that were made into award plaques for the winners of an Illinois killing contest. This year's West Texas Big Bobcat contest doled out more than $400,000 in prize money, and this contest has had a total payout of almost $4 million since it began in 2008. This photo is from 2016 contest in which 4 participants won the most gray fox prize of $8,520 for killing 66 of these tiny animals. So to reiterate, the primary objection by the public of wildlife killing contests, and the primary reason they have been banned in 10 states so far, is that they offer cash and prizes for killing wildlife. It's an affront to the values of most Americans, to the long-standing principle of ethical hunting, and to the second tenet of the North American model of wildlife conservation that says commerce in dead wildlife is eliminated. Now let's look at Tenet 1, which states all wildlife resources are conserved and held in trust for all citizens. First, we recently announced the results of a poll conducted by the bipartisan Remington Research Group this past June. They asked Nevada voters if they supported or opposed the Nevada Board of Wildlife Commissioners banning wildlife killing contests in their state. 71% said they supported it. So how is this related to public trust? Well, as Endell explained, During a Nevada State and Senate and Assembly Joint Natural Resources Committee meeting in 2013, wildlife is a public trust resource. And the 1842 Supreme Court ruling found that wildlife is owned by no one and shall be held in trust by the government for the benefit of present and future generations. This is the bedrock for state governments to establish regulatory authority over wildlife. Allowing wildlife contests to continue is an abdication of the state's solemn duty to manage the public's wildlife for the benefit of all. So with this in mind, here is how the question was phrased for the poll. It said, under the public trust doctrine, it is the Nevada Board of Wildlife Commissioners' duty to hold and manage the public's wildlife in trust for the benefit and enjoyment of all Nevadans. One could say that allowing organized contests to kill wildlife for cash and prizes is a breach of the Commission's duty to protect and conserve the public's wildlife for all citizens, not just for those who participate in these contests. Do you support or oppose the Nevada Board of Wildlife Commissioners banning wildlife contests in Nevada? You can see the results. 71% of those polled agreed that the Nevada Board of Wildlife Commissioners should act upon its duty to the public trust and ban wildlife killing contests. But what's really interesting is how these 4 questions broke down. All 4 of Nevada's congressional districts were strongly in favor of the board banning wildlife killing contests. Both Republicans and Democrats were strongly in favor, with nonpartisans at a solid 60% support. Both females and males were in support. And note that those identifying as very conservative were even more than those who considered themselves somewhat conservative, that the Board of Wildlife Commissioners should ban wildlife killing contests. Historically, the Nevada Board of Wildlife Commissioners has given significant deference to the small percentage of Nevadans who hunt, which is now only 3.4% of the population. But the values and attitudes towards wildlife held by Nevadans have changed significantly in recent decades, and those public attitudes and values need to be acknowledged. In the landmark America's Wildlife Values Project study in 2018, researchers identified Americans as holding 4 value types. The 2 main types are the traditionalists, who believe that wildlife should be used and managed for the benefit of humans, and the mutualists, who believe that humans and animals should coexist. In the top right map, the darker red signifies the states that are more traditionalist, and the bottom map with the darker green areas shows states that are more mutualist, which, as you can see, includes Nevada. In fact, the study found that about 22% of Nevada's population are traditionalists, while 44% of Nevadans are mutualists. Tell us that Nevadans increasingly care about wildlife. Also, as I mentioned, coyotes are often vilified in order to justify killing them. But another study in recent years by The Ohio State University found that Americans' positive attitudes towards animals are growing, especially when it comes to misunderstood and persecuted species. Between 1978 and 2014, Americans' positive attitudes towards coyotes grew by 47%, with the majority of people expressing positive views towards coyotes. The Association of Fish and Wildlife Agencies and the Wildlife Management Institute have noted these seismic changes in public attitudes towards wildlife, with AFWA's former president asking, "Are we still relevant to the people we serve?" Additionally, the report warned that state wildlife agencies must meet public trust obligations in order to remain relevant for the future. One of those public trust obligations is for state officials to acknowledge that certain wildlife killing practices are no longer acceptable to the vast majority of their state's residents. In its 2019 issue statement, the Wildlife Society advised those that state officials recognize that while species killed in contests can be legally killed in most states, making a contest of it may undermine the public's view of ethical hunting. And this sentiment has been echoed by wildlife management professionals across the country. Vermont Fish and Wildlife said that killing contests are raising concerns on the part of the public and could possibly jeopardize the future of hunting and affect access to private lands for all hunters. The Arizona Game and Fish Commission has said to the extent that these contests reflect the overall hunting community, public outrage with these events has the potential to threaten hunting as a legitimate wildlife management function. And the Colorado Parks and Wildlife Executive Director said, wildlife killing contests give sportsmen and sportswomen a bad name and damage our reputation. All of the states you see here have banned killing contests. And when discussing Nevada killing contests in 2021, Tony Wasley, then director of NDO, said, "Hunters need to be conscious of the public image we project and the way in which the public perceives us." He expressed his dire concern that an unwillingness to consider what society feels at large about a certain activity will hasten the erosions of the privileges that I hold near and dear. In the 2018 Landmark Mountain Journal article titled, "A Death of Ethics, Is Hunting Destroying Itself?" Brian Jablonski, a hunter and former chair of the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission, said about hunting, "People who engage in unethical behavior are undermining it. We need to police ourselves and insist that we all abide by and uphold the highest standards." And the late Jim Posewitz, a hunter and conservationist who wrote the book, Beyond Fair Chase, The Ethic and Tradition of Hunting, added that those who value hunting were inflicting this reputational damage on themselves, quote, "With the proliferation of self-promoting videos on YouTube and selfies of people posing with dead animals on Facebook and other forms of social media, we have become our own worst enemy." This Instagram post by a Nevada contestant participant said 2 dogs during the night hunt and went to Pound Town during the day. "We killed 10 dogs in 6 hours calling. Couldn't ask for a better day. Was a super fun contest. Didn't come out on top, but we gave her hell." So I ask you, is this the image that Nevada wishes to project? Its hunters and its people? Of course it doesn't. Wildlife killing contests give our state a black eye and reflect poorly on Nevada's broader hunting community and the state itself, and they need to end now. Finally, I'd like to briefly address the issue of spending on outdoor recreation in Nevada. The U.S. Bureau of Economic Analysis, which is a part of the Department of Commerce, regularly releases statistics measuring the outdoor recreation economy for the nation and for each state, including value added for outdoor recreation as a share of the state's gross domestic product. As you can see in the list, this includes conventional outdoor recreation activities like bicycling, boating, hiking, and hunting, activities like gardening and outdoor concerts, and supporting activities like construction, travel, tourism, local trips, and government expenditures. In their most recent numbers for Nevada in 2022, the Bureau found that more than $6 billion were spent on outdoor recreation activities in Nevada that year, and only 0.5% was spent on hunting and trapping. More than 10 times that amount was spent on RVing. Almost 50 times that amount was spent on other non-hunting related outdoor recreation. And nearly 80 times more was spent on travel and tourism within the state. So to wrap up, as we said last spring, there's overwhelming scientific evidence and public support for the Nevada Board of Wildlife Commissioners to ban wildlife killing contests in our state. There's ample precedent for this. You can see in the map here the 10 other states that have already banned wildlife killing contests so far, as well as those that are currently considering bans. 4 of these states, Vermont, New Mexico, Maryland, and New York, banned contests through the legislature, but the remaining 6, Arizona, California, Colorado, Massachusetts, Oregon, and Washington, all banned them through their state wildlife commissions. These commissions made the decision based on science, ethics, the public's values, and very importantly, because they wanted to protect the reputation of their hunting community. Last spring, we submitted a petition for rulemaking to the commission with the simple and straightforward language to prohibit wildlife killing contests in Nevada. The proposed rule explicitly stated that these contests do not affect competitive field trials for hunting dogs or the taking of fur-bearing mammals causing damage to property. The language was very similar to the laws passed and rules passed in other states, once again, focusing only on the offering of cash and prizes for the killing of wildlife. However, the board refused to take action and the petition was withdrawn. The board is responsible for establishing policy for the management of Nevada's wildlife, ensuring that future generations will be able to enjoy all the outdoor beauty and abundance that this great state has to offer. Now, I'd like to return to a question that I was asked in March. A commissioner said that this issue has come up several times before, so why should they consider it again? He asked, what's changed? The answer is nothing has changed, and that's the point. You've heard over and over and over again from wildlife experts, responsible hunters, wildlife scientists, veterinarians, wildlife rehabilitators, animal care professionals, and the people of Nevada, stating that killing contests are an embarrassment to our great state. They're inflicting irreparable damage to the reputation of the responsible hunters and are a waste of natural resources that are held in trust for all Nevada citizens. Yet the board has done nothing, except hope that if you ignore it long enough, it will go away. But this is not going away. This issue is not going to resolve itself. The committee must take action and respect the will of Nevadans and end wildlife killing contests in our state. And by the way, using the term calling contests does not change the nature of what you see in front of you or on the screen or the outcome of killing animals for cash and prizes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As if I may, before we go to questions, Warren Hardy, representing the Humane Society of the United States. I've taken a lot of criticism and heat from my side of the aisle here for suggesting that we come back again to the commission. I have taken a lot of heat for defending the commission. Within a week after the last meeting in March where we made our presentation, I appeared on the State of Nevada radio show on this issue. And I was asked specifically if we need to change the makeup of the Wildlife Commission. At that time, I opined that that wasn't going to be necessary, that I think at the end of the day, the Wildlife Commission is going to do the right thing and is going to follow their charge that they've been given. I have also opposed in the past my client bringing these graphic photos and videos, because I thought, just based on science, based on my conversations with members of the commission who have said, show me the science, that would carry the day. But you know, Mr. Chairman, facts are stubborn things, as John Adams said, and this illustrates the facts in Nevada. And I want to make it clear once again that what we're talking about here is the banning of killing for cash and prizes. That gentleman who said he likes killing shit and it's better than killing people can still go out and kill shit. He just can't do it for prizes and cash. That's what we're talking about here. What is it about our Nevada ethic that says it's okay to do it for cash and prizes? You asked us for science. We provided. I don't know how to provide more science than what we provided. So I'm going to ask the commission to be very honest with me. If you're not going to be swayed by the science, tell me now. I'll stop wasting my time. I'll stop wasting your time. Because the opposition to this has never provided science. All they provide is anecdotal arguments and conversations about how these things are good family fun and they raise money. Well, if that's what we're out for in Nevada, let's go ahead and make cockfighting legal again. Let's go ahead and make those, dog fighting legal again in Nevada. If it's a free-for-all in Nevada to do whatever we want under the auspices of raising funds and good family fun, why limit that? Let's just open it up to everything. Now, I will say this, Mr. Chairman, and I've done this work for a long time, and I know there's a compromise coming. And I'll tell you this, I've done this business long enough to know when a compromise is being proposed to make me look uncompromising. So let me just address it up front, why the so-called compromise doesn't work. Let me read you the definition of a compromise. A compromise is an agreement or settlement is reached by each side making concessions. The proposed compromise before you today is going to make it worse. I would much rather have the status quo. If you accept the compromise that's coming forward, it's going to legitimize these contests. There'll be an official doctrine in the state of Nevada that if you have a season and if you require hunting licenses, that it's fine to have these contests. So it's not a compromise. It's like negotiating a deal and you say, I'll give you $20,000 for that. And they say, well, I'll take 25. I mean, that's not a compromise. There's nothing about what that's going to be proposed, as I understand it, unless they change it, that can even be considered a compromise. Again, I want to restate it. I would rather have the status quo than the so-called compromise that will have no other effect but to legitimize these things in Nevada. Here's my challenge. I can't talk everybody I talk to on the hunting side, and I've tried to reach out and talk to them. I ask the question, do you participate in these contests? I can't find a single person that says, yeah, I participate in these contests. So I would respectfully ask, Mr. Chairman, as the opponents of this come up, ask them if they participate in these contests. And the other thing I would say, if you can't defend them scientifically, you got to ban them. Have the courage to stand up and defend them as good ethical practices or ban them. We are never going away on this issue. This is a hard issue. This is not an issue we're letting go. And just let me tell you, I've been working for the Humane Society of the United States for about 10 years now, and I very honestly, very reluctantly went to work for them. I was a Republican senator. I supported hunting, supported sportsmen my entire career. I was very concerned. Like, here's what they've asked me to work on in 10 years. Regulating the ownership of wild exotic animals, tigers in the basement. Outlawing, finally, the practice of bestiality in Nevada. Outlawing cockfighting in Nevada. In 10 years, those are the issues they've asked me to engage and work on. I can find nothing radical or crazy or slippery slopey about those issues. Our issue is these contests for prizes and cash. Why is that fundamentally important? So here's what I'm going to say to you. It's a hard issue. You may get pounded by your constituencies. I know what that's like. I supported the largest, as a Republican senator in 2003, I supported the largest tax increase in Nevada history. That was hard for me to do. But I did it because the federal government was about ready to step in and take over our prisons and about ready to step in and take over our education system. And I didn't want that to happen. I negotiated it down as low as I could, but I voted for it. That was hard. That could have cost me my reelection. But here's what I'll tell you, after 35 years in this business, there are things worse in this state than being unelected or not reappointed. Do the right thing or tell us why having these contests is the right thing and serves the purposes and values of all Nevadans. Thank you so very much for your time. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you for the presentation. Commissioner Booth, Commissioner Walther, do either of you have questions for Ms. Goff or Mr. Hardy?
No questions at this time. It was the same presentation. It seemed like that we heard in March. You did very well. I appreciate the time that you've taken to be here this evening. Thank you.
Chair, Commissioner Walther is on the flight coming down, so not available.
Okay. Okay, so I guess for now.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, committee members, thank you for opportunity to appear for you this evening. My name is Larry Johnson. I'm president of the Coalition for Nevada's Wildlife. And of course, we're here to discuss the coyote calling contests. The Coalition's mission statement is to protect and enhance our wildlife resources while perpetuating our hunting, fishing, and trapping traditions. Competitions are as old as mankind. It's in our DNA. It's probably started with those trying to figure out who's faster and stronger. Today we have competitions in every aspect of our lives, from Little League to beauty pageants. Some include animals, like rodeos and horse racing. Some are violent, such as football, MMA, boxing, and wrestling. Sportsmen who fund 95% of the wildlife management in Nevada insist on wildlife resources being managed by science, not emotion. And quite frankly, that's all you've heard tonight is emotion. Analysis of coyote calling contests conclude it has no biological significance. It certainly does not adversely impact the coyote population. You couldn't do so, quite frankly. They're going to survive mankind. Coyotes and cockroaches will predate us regardless of what attempts were ever made. Likewise, any benefits to prey species is probably not measurable and at most incremental. You've seen unfortunate pictures have been shown to you. I wish I had pictures of the doe mule deer standing at the base of the cliff over her dead fawn, holding at bay a pack of coyotes that I've witnessed. But then, I live in the mountains. I live in the outdoors. I don't sit behind a desk. So with no biological impacts, why are we even having this discussion? Because certain animal rights groups object. This is therefore a social issue and doesn't belong in any scientific analysis. You didn't hear any science presented to you tonight. All social issues, all emotion. If social science is to be considered, weed out the emotion and factor in the more than 150,000 license holders in this state that provide 95% of the funding for wildlife management in this state. I do more every year for Nevada's wildlife than these people will in their lifetime. This year alone, I've built 6 big game wildlife guzzlers. I've captured bighorn sheep and released them on a new mountain range that I've done dozens of times with bighorn sheep and antelope and so forth. We're the people who put our money and our sweat equity where our mouth is. We're not involved unless we're forced to in lobbying and litigation like the opposition is. The coalition encourages outdoor activities. These contests provide outdoor opportunity for a number of sportsmen in the state, offering camaraderie and tests of skill. We've held several in-person and Zoom meetings to poll sportsmen and formulate an appropriate response to the request to outlaw such competitions. A consensus was reached that regulations should be considered, including but limited to the following: that a hunting and trapping license should be required for all participants. Anyone harvesting Nevada wildlife should help fund wildlife management through NDOW. A season should be set. We recommend September 1st through May 31st to include sage-grouse breeding and deer and antelope fawning periods. These common sense are consistent with our mission. And finally, I can't tell you how much I object to out-of-state interests coming here telling us how to live our outdoor lives. Okay, thank you. One final point is, it was alluded to that I was offering a compromise. There is no compromise issued in this. We're doing what we think is right. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Larry. Commissioner Booth, did you have any questions for Larry?
Well, thanks, Larry, for taking the time to kind of give us a presentation this evening.
I respond, Mr.
Okay.
Chair, just briefly.
Yeah, that's fine.
And then obviously,
Yeah, I mean, and
we won't keep it going.
put a few boundaries on it. We're not going to point and counterpoint all night, but I
I
wanted to
think one
provide
rebuttal on both is
opportunity.
more.
Yeah.
So thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would point out a couple of things. Look, I like Larry Johnson a lot. I used to work for Larry Johnson. I used to work with Larry. I think has the best interest of the state of Nevada in mind and always has. I think he's got a blind spot on this issue, however. But for him to suggest that there's been no scientific evidence, we'll send you our original, to Commissioner Booth's point, this wasn't exactly like the original statement, which was packed. Our original petition is packed with scientific evidence. Mr. Johnson said there is none. I trust you, Larry, but you got to provide some evidence that there's scientific evidence that these things have value. You can't just say that because you're a nice guy. And for him to say we didn't hear any scientific evidence, we didn't pack it was emotional tonight because honestly, what you saw in these videos is what the people of the state of Nevada need to see. And if we're not able to resolve this, the people of the state of Nevada are going to see this. And I have a real fear that this is going to do significant violence to hunting. 3% of the state hunts. It's not a far walk to have real violence and damage done to hunting. With regard to 90% of the money is provided by hunters, I just don't follow that logic. Does that mean, is that a pay to play? If we pay more money, does that mean that we are going to be able to participate in your mission statement of having all of our issues concerned? I mean, if that's what it is, let us know now and we'll go start raising money to pay to play if it's a pay to play situation. I mean, by that logic, we're simply saying, we're basically saying that only those who pay a certain amount of taxes should have the opportunity to have their rights represented by government. That's just not a legitimate argument. So if it is pay to play, let us know, and we'll see what we can do. But I don't think that's what this commission's telling us, that unless we pay money, that we can have our voices heard. And the last thing I will say is I a lot of respect for Larry Johnson, but don't you dare call me an out-of-state interest. I've got skin in the game in this state. I served in the legislature in this state. I raised my family in this state. I continue to raise my family in this state. I am a Nevadan through and through, as is Rebecca Goff, as is Heather Carpenter. We are Nevadans. So don't dare say this is out-of-state interest. We are people who care about this and want some satisfaction. So I really appreciate the opportunity to be able to respond to what was said. And I thank you again for your time.
Thank you, Warren. Larry, Mike, yeah.
Yeah, for the record, Larry Johnson. I still fail to see any scientific data that was presented in that presentation. Okay. And in no way did I intimate that this was a pay to play issue. I was merely stating the investment that sportsmen make in the management of Nevada's wildlife, in contrast to our opponents. This was, Mr. Hardy stated an absolute untruth in that he stated that these were the few items that he'd been asked to represent the Humane Society of America based in New York City. That's where his paycheck comes from, by the way, not from Nevada. Because a couple of months ago, when he called me to discuss this issue, he said that the Humane Society of America had asked him to address makeup of the Wildlife Commission. In fact, he threatened me and said if we did not compromise on this coyote calling contest, that he would seek the realignment of the Wildlife Commission and we would lose. That was his threat to me personally, okay? Is why I'm involved in this at all. I don't partake in these contests. I don't enter big buck contests or fishing derbies or any wildlife contest. But at that point, as president of the coalition, I felt it was my duty to pursue this issue from this point forward. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. We're gonna.
Just one quick thing.
That's okay, Larry. We'll get through this. I mean, there's a ton of emotion here. So
no, there is, and I appreciate it. I just want to say that I've never received direction from my client to change the Wildlife Commission. I don't recall that conversation. I'm not going to say it didn't happen and that I didn't say that, but I want to make it clear that's never been the direction I've gotten from my client.
Okay.
And he repeated the same statement to the head of the Trappers Association, by the way, for collaboration of that comment, okay? And I'll just leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. Thank you, Warren. As we can see, Mike, are you part of the presentation stuff?
Yes. I have a presentation
from your county, okay. Mike, the intent of this was to have, not to have everybody in the room give their own presentation. And I didn't realize that you had a presentation that you were going to give. So
you were one of the counties that started the resolution that we are in favor of having.
Yeah, I understand. So what kind of time frame are we looking at here? Yeah. I mean, in fairness, I expected Larry was going to be here with a couple of other folks. So Mike, I guess, that person's not here, so maybe you are. Be brief, please. Okay, and I did hear that. Larry took one for the team on that one, I think. So I'll allow you to go ahead and provide some input here, but I want to keep it really, really narrow here, Mike.
Real quick facts and figures. Yeah. There we go. Now you can hear me? Okay. So Mike Reese, Lincoln County Commissioner, speaking on behalf of Lincoln County. What gives me the right to speak on behalf of Lincoln County is we unanimously put a resolution out there in favor of it for numerous reasons, and some of us economic impacts. That's some of the stuff I want to talk about, because you hear the figure, we're only 3.5%. As I send a letter off to the governor telling how big the sportsmen are in the state of Nevada, we had over 150,000 licenses sold last year. Okay, if you take the season ticket holders of Las Vegas Raiders, Las Vegas Knights, Las Vegas Aviators, our group of sportsmen is twice the size of that. And like I said to the governor, we don't have the $1 billion stadium. So putting it into perspective, yeah, we're only 3.5%, but we spend money. 2020, we put in $414 million at Nevada's cash registers, sportsmen spent. The sales tax off that John Q. Public gets to benefit from as well was $39 million. Okay, what I really wanted to talk about tonight to put some stuff out there is let's put it in perspective on the scientific part of this. In a perfect world, a doe will have 2 fawns. I think last year, Mike can quote me, was 1.4 to 1.5 fawns per doe. When you take a female coyote out there and have the birth rate of that, they're 4, 6, or 8. If it's 8 pups, yes, we've been known to have way more than that and a lot less, depending on the years. At the birth rate, the coyotes outnumber the deer 4 to 1. My question has always been to everybody is why do we see a need to protect the coyote? Nobody's protecting the fawns, and therefore we are in a 32-year decline. Numerous reasons why, but maybe some of the people sitting back in the audience do not know that we are almost at an all-time low on our mule deer in the state of Nevada. We're at about 60,000 or less. Mike can correct me. We've gone from 260,000 down to that in a slow incremental. What makes that critical is every coyote that takes out a fawn has a way bigger impact today than what it did 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. That needs to be taken into consideration of that. Now, it's true, whether we rule any way we do, we're still going to be able to go out and hunt coyotes. You can put 3 guys in a pickup truck, leave the house, and they're going to go call coyotes for that day. Maybe they get 2, maybe they get none, maybe they get 6. But if they happen to, in Lincoln County, if they happen to stop at the grocery store, which is where the signups are at, and put their name on a list and drop $20 in the pot in a bucket, they're the devil. But yet we want to shake their hand and tell them thank you for helping try to control the predators in our county. Now, I'm going to go back and I'm going to tell you guys, predators are a big thing. September 21st, 2012, the State Wildlife Commission changed the trapping regulations in Las Vegas. Dave, you were part of that. We now have the first year after that, we had 11 schools on lockdown because there was no fence, so to speak, to keep the predators at bay. Since then, we've had this last year, we have, well, in 2014, 15, and 16, NDOW hired an employee to come on in and just answer phone calls for coyote sightings. It started the first year at 975, and it ended the third year, which was 2016, at 1,661. When we did that, when we deregulated what was happening, or actually increased it, all we did is change the trapping visitation in half. bam, we exploded with predators here in Las Vegas. Now you have every news station here doing 2 to 3 stories a year of what happened. We can argue about how effective or ineffective coyote calling contests are, but if predators are not controlled and let run rampant, they wreak havoc. And right now, today, 2024, with our mule deer being an all-time low, it is havoc, especially at our fawning grounds. Now, we as sportsmen, it's not a pay to play, but we do pay to play. But we put our money where our mouth is, and we raised enough money this year for $80,000 to do a collar project in southern Nevada, not in northern. But we're doing that to find the science and see what's happened. Yes, we've had some mortality rate from those, but it's also a fawn mortality rate that we're looking to study. How critical how big of an impact do coyotes play on our populations? I think will be asked everywhere all the time. But I guarantee you, if Las Vegas itself is any relation to what you do when you mess with the regulations for trapping that was doing for 40 years, they controlled the population very well because we never had any coyotes in school grounds or nothing. That's a prime example. That's not anecdotal, but that is scientific fact of what happened in our valley. We've seen that grow. Now it's been 10 years. They're still growing. They haven't left because they set up shop here. So whether we go hunt coyotes or not, I do like to see coyotes be taken out. If you look at what we used to have a $3 predator fee. Now it's called an application fee. Last year, $1.3 million was raised just by that application fee that generally now is decided is it going to go for habitat restoration or is it going to go for lethal predator control? And now it's going to do what coyote callers are doing because they're mandated. They may not like it, but they're mandated that that's what they have to do with that money. It must be used for that. Now, it could be used for a lot of different things to help the populations. But right now, guys, I'm sick and tired of hearing what's going on because I haven't been to a meeting yet where we've sat down and we've had emotion and talk about how do we grow our mule deer. Every regulation you guys do is decreasing the mule deer population. We're spending our time and money and effort talking about predators. We're not talking about the most dire wildlife we have right now, which is our mule deer. We need to change our conversations.
Mike, so I was giving you some latitude. Are you good?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right. Commissioner Booth, did you have any questions? No. Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you,
All
Mr.
right.
Reese.
So what we're going to do here is we've been at it for quite a while here. So we're going to go ahead and take about a 10-minute break and we'll come back and we'll do our public comment. Okay? Thank you. All right, let's go ahead and grab a seat and we'll get moving again here. Okay, so with this particular second half of this agenda item, I want to remind you that one of the goals of the committee was to gather input. And at the risk of hearing the same thing over and over and over and over, I mean, that's what we do. We've done this. It's not the first time we've done it. You know, so what I'm asking for is your understanding as I open this up. We're going to treat everybody fairly. You're all going to get your 3-minute opportunity, but I'm asking you to consider that, you know, we've got a public comment period at the end as well. The night's going to get long on us as we go forward here. So be succinct with your comments. If it's repetitive, I'm just asking you to really boil that down. Again, I'm not trying to be restrictive of you. That would be inappropriate, but I'm asking you to be thoughtful. And as always, civil, please, civility. It's very emotional for everybody. It's not, and it's okay. It's okay if everybody's got strong feelings about this. But I want everybody to be civil and respectful to each other, please. So with that, is there any public comment in Las Vegas here? And please, if you see one seat empty, somebody please quietly come up and again, one mic on at a time, and please announce yourselves. Thank you.
Mr. Chair and committee members, Janet Wright, resident of Clark County, speaking for myself in support of a statewide ban on wildlife killing contests. Killing mammals for prizes or money in an organized contest is morally reprehensible. Wildlife killing contests are a violation of fair chase. Using calling devices and night vision goggles give hunters an unfair advantage. This is wrong. We know there is zero science and zero wildlife management in condoning these contests, and the result is a wanton waste of wildlife. These contests are unpopular with the non-hunting public, as well as many individuals that hunt for sport. These killing contests are giving hunting a black eye and make me question the ethics of those who support these contests. One of the pillars of leadership, as contributed to former Governor Brian Sandoval, states, always do what's in the best interests of all. Don't allow special interests or personal preferences to stand in the way of doing what you know is right. I trust you will do the right thing. Thank you.
Stephanie Myers from Las Vegas. At the Clark County CAB meeting on Tuesday night, there was a lively discussion on this issue. And there was an older gentleman there, I can't recall his name, who painted a romantic picture of a calling contest. He spoke about the process of learning how to call a coyote, of how much skill calling entailed, that it wasn't a simple endeavor at all. He spoke about delighting in nature, about basking in the company of other like-minded men. He spoke about rejoicing when a real coyote actually appeared. What a revelation it was to see such a magnificent wild animal in the flesh. Interesting picture. But the question must be asked, if it was all those tender, dreamy things, then why do so many people bring guns ready to shoot to a calling contest? We know the answer, and it's not a happy one. Thank you for your attention.
For the record, Paul Dixon, representing the Clark County Advisory Board to Manage Wildlife. We have, as a organization, advisory board, for the last 10 years, I can pull up minutes and show you, we've had discussions about this topic. And I think with the publishing of the American Values Report, which was shown earlier tonight, it really kind of focused my mind on something. And with the Supreme Court decision on abortion is that in our state, 88% of the population live in Clark or Washoe County. What you've heard here tonight is 95+% of the people, with the exception of probably Mike Reese from Lincoln, have been from Clark or Washoe County, which is where our population centers are. And if you really believe the American Values Report and you look at stuff, we have 15 other counties in this state. And as Mike pointed out, 7 of them wrote resolutions saying they supported having these contests because it had economic impact and other things that go on. And if you look at the amount of people that hold hunting and fishing licenses in those 15 counties versus population, it's not 2 or 3%. It's probably on the order of 30 to 80% in some of the counties that hold hunting and fishing licenses. And I really feel that for me, it's not a compromise, but like we did with trapping, we basically said in Clark and Washoe County, we would have different rules for trapping because the population that lived there and the people that lived there had a different set of values than the people in the other 15 counties. And because of that, we set up rules in Clark and Washoe for trapping. And I think that if you're going to look at these contests, we ought to look at it and ask those other 15 counties and their county commissions where they stand. And they ought to have a voice that's just as large, not by population number, but by the fact that they're a county in the state of Nevada, and they should have the ability to stand up and say, we want to do this, and they should be allowed to do it. And at that point, Clark County can stand up and say, we wrote a resolution, Washoe County wrote a resolution, said we don't want to do it. Well, they should have the right to say that they shouldn't have those in their county. That's kind of the way I feel, but for me, I think you can have all your hearings and you can put all the emotion you want to put in and out of this, but at the end of the day, I think in this state, we need to look at people who decided to live urban, Clark and Washoe. They have a different mindset than those who decided to live in the 15 rural counties, and they live in those 15 rural counties for a reason. They don't live in Clark or Washoe because they want to live a different lifestyle and they live a different way than those that live in the urban centers. Thank you for your time.
Good evening. Anula Wildridge for the record. So research by both biologists and grad students has already confirmed that compensatory reproduction is directly caused by the extermination and disruption of coyote populations. That makes these counterproductive to any form of wildlife management. And I think blaming coyotes entirely for the decline in mule deer populations is inaccurate because habitat loss accounts for 70 to 80% of threats to all species. Events conducted outside of firearms discharge areas impact recreation spaces where people hike and walk their pets. That makes these a risk to public safety. And when we consider the decline in the number of residents holding hunting licenses in Nevada, if the commission is interested in preserving the culture, in recruiting new members, I think they have to ask themselves if it's worth alienating future potential sportsmen with these offensive, unethical, and unsportsmanlike events. You saw the footage, and I wonder, do hunters really want to be represented by what they saw in the footage? These are a blemish on the culture. They need to be banned. Thank you for the opportunity to comment.
Hello, Commissioners. My name is Casey Kern. I'm an avid camper, hiker, and outdoor enthusiast. I'm also a resident of Henderson. I respectfully urge you to pass a rule to stop animal killing contests in Nevada. It's an embarrassment these bloody events are happening in our state. I'm a firm believer in being good stewards of our state's natural resources and wildlife. Winning cash and prizes for rapidly killing the most animals crosses a line into complete disregard for other beings who are struggling to survive and just want to live. These cruel and wasteful killing contests send a dangerous message to our youth that hunting is nothing more than the thrill of killing, prizes, and vilifying certain species. I urge you to support an end to prohibit these horrific events. Thank you for your consideration.
Good evening. My name's John Hyatt. I live here in county. I'm a member of the Clark County CAB, but I'm representing myself tonight. I think Tony Wasley said it pretty well when he said that this really gives hunters a bad name. It will result in lessened support for legitimate hunting in future and will not benefit hunters as a group.
The idea that killing coyotes will somehow increase the number of mule deer, I think, is not borne out by any kinds of facts. We do have a problem here in Nevada with mule deer population falling. And if you look at 20 some years now of very dry years, we don't have the habitat that can support deer. If it weren't for irrigated agriculture in the southern part of the state, we wouldn't have any deer at all, practically. Maybe a few in a couple of mountain ranges, but other than that, we'd have nothing. And so coyote calling contests and the type of killing that happens there really is unethical, and it shows a disrespect for animal life. And I think about what Aldo Leopold would do and would say, and certainly I think he was not anti-hunting by any stretch of the imagination. He's the man that kind of wrote the book on wildlife management, and he certainly evolved over his lifetime, but I think certainly he would say, you know, this does not serve any useful purpose and really is something that we need to look from the standpoint of ethics as how we conduct ourselves. And therefore, I would say the Wildlife Commission certainly should not be involved in regulating it. This will just tar the reputation of the commission. And I think that in the end, we need to outlaw coyote calling contests. Thank you.
Rooted in violence. The difference there is an opportunity to defend themselves and give informed consent. I am a Nevadan, and I would like you to support a ban on wildlife killing contests. They're cruel, wasteful, and counter to our values as Nevadans as a whole. These events are not conducted in the name of science and are not accepted as a wildlife management tool by the Nevada Department of Wildlife. They are held for no better reason than to give a small number of individuals the thrill of the kill. They like to kill shit, as we heard earlier. As one who grew up surrounded by ethical hunters, I believe killing contests violate the concepts of fair chase, responsible sportsmanship. I'm also a strong believer in being good stewards of this state's wondrous wildlife, and sincerely believe that wasteful contests send a dangerous message to our youth that hunting is nothing more than winning dirty money. Wildlife is held in the public trust. I'm going to say that again. Wildlife is held in the public trust. By allowing killing contests, Nevada is violating its duty to responsibly manage wildlife for all Nevadans, the majority of whom find them unacceptably barbaric and frankly uncivilized. Thank you for your time.
My name is Linda Faso. I live here in Clark County. I respectfully ask you to support a rule to stop wildlife killing contests, just as 10 states, including 6 in the West, have done in recent years. These events are an absurdity and offend hunters and non-hunters across our state. They are unacceptable and ethically indefensible and promote the idea that our state's native wildlife are disposable. What are we teaching our children? Killing contests do not teach responsible hunting ethics and are not based on sound science wildlife management principles. Please note that I have no problem with responsible hunting, and it should be noted that this rule wouldn't stop sportsmen and sportswomen from hunting under existing laws and regulations, or farmers from shooting animals to protect their livestock. I feel it's important, however, that we draw an ethical line when it comes to killing wildlife for nothing more than cash and prizes, and these killing contests clearly cross that line. These contests can destabilize local ecosystems by targeting key species which play critical roles in maintaining balance within their environments. I hope that you're hearing the public today. Thank you for your time.
Hi. Hi, I'm Heather Carpenter, and I'm the Western Regional Director for the Humane Society of the United States. I do live here in Las Vegas, and I'm asking respectfully that you pass a rule to end these wasteful competitions in Nevada. And I shortened my statement a little bit because I wanted to save time, and a lot of this has already been said. But some are falsely claiming that this rule is an assault on rural communities, but it's just a red herring that's designed to divide us. The animals being targeted in these contests belong to all of us, and not just the minuscule number of people who participate in these events. By allowing the killing contests to continue, Nevada is violating its duty to responsibly manage wildlife for all of its residents. The majority, which is in the poll you saw, was 71%, who find killing contests unacceptably cruel and wasteful, and this is not who we are as a state. Thank you for your time.
Good evening, commissioners. My name is Jasenia Manfredo. I love being a Nevadan. I first came to the state 14 years ago, and I am very strongly against the killing competitions. I would like to thank the Paiute people and other indigenous people here and afar who have lived in stewardship with the land, the animal nations, and the waters for so long, longer than anyone in this room has memories. I myself, as an indigenous person, am appalled by these competitions. They are a stain on the human legacy and what we can be. In regard to the environment and biodiversity, so many people before me, including the gentleman who served our country, spoke very well, provided evidence, and so I will just give a little bit of personal information. My master's degree is an ASP in the Environmental Studies Department. I traveled in order to obtain this degree and study with leaders in the field of biology, biodiversity, environmental protection. In short, there is nothing about these competitions that is anything but shameful. They do not take care of the animals, either predator or prey. They will not help us as humans. I would like to present a few questions. One being, what are they to you? I know that these animals, to me, are God's creatures. They are God's creatures. They are not objects for sport, like a basketball or a baseball. What legacy would you like to leave? One that is ethical, one that protects biodiversity and the environment and the animal nations, or one in which children are taught a blood sport, in which children are taught to kill just for the pleasure of killing? What will that do to our children? What will that do to our boys and our young men? What society will that create? I beg you to think of this, commissioners. Thank you and have a good evening.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, my name is Brian Wong. I'm a Las Vegas resident. I'll keep this pretty short. I'm pretty emotional about this. The presentation that Ms. Goff presented with the images and the videos were abhorrent, appalling, disgusting. I don't know if you can tell, but my voice is still shaking just from those images. Gentleman earlier talked about competition. I'm a competitive person. I believe in sport. I believe in competition. But when competition doesn't involve informed consent, that's not competition. There's plenty of ways to compete. I'm also a gun owner, and I think we should all shoot guns, but shoot at targets, not living beings. Beings that have families, beings that have emotions, beings that should have autonomy, and beings that we should protect, and beings that your committee, your commission is charged to protect. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you for listening.
Have to move away from the screen because if I can see myself, I'll get real distracted. I thank you both for giving us the opportunity to speak publicly to you and at you. The diplomacy that you have to have all opinions heard tonight respectfully is what your calling is as a government official. Truly, I do not envy your position. I have grown up in hunting communities. I have lived in Mojave County, Arizona, and now I live here just a half mile away where coyotes still come through my property. One of my black and white things that I hold on to is if something can be destroyed by the truth, it deserves to be destroyed. I have never seen any images of coyote killing like I did tonight. I had no idea. I've never heard conversations at these types of events. But as a resident, as a voter, as a homeowner, I want to protect the integrity of my community and my state against people who think that the West is a free-for-all. I want to protect that image back home where I'm from in rural Ohio, that it's somehow crazier and weirder here. I think if this doesn't become banned in the immediate future, and we allow groups like HSUS or PETA to take this into the public eye, it will paint our state and our residents as extremists who kill for fun, who kill for enjoyment, who are just this far away from killing each other. I don't think I personally could defend a single thing that I saw in those pictures or the videos to a single person I know in any rural community I've ever lived in. That is what we do here, and it's fine. And that half of the people who participate, they could probably kill a human, you know, just if this wasn't allowed today. Thank you again for letting so many people talk at you. I do hope that you consider the things that are said today and in the petitions that I heard existed, and take that into consideration in banning this. Thank you.
Ma'am, I apologize. May I have your name for the record?
My name is Elizabeth Petroff, and I live in 89123.
Hello, commissioners, team, everybody being here listening to the public give their voice. My name is Simon Kern. I live here in Henderson, Nevada. I also urge you to pass a rule to outlaw this cruel wildlife killing contest. The gamification of any type of killing, I think, is unnecessary to the human population. That's what we're talking about here, gamifying hunting, gamifying killing these animals and making awards out of it. I'm sure people look forward to this every year. I'm sure they pass it down to their kids and they talk about how this is something they like to do. We heard it here today that people look to this as something to do. Now, we have plenty of things in the state of Nevada to do. Camping's one of them. We saw that RV tourism brings in a lot of money. And that is something I think our community, if we heard that we're here, the government is supporting gamification of murder, that we would all be willing to chip in if this was for money, if this was, hey, we need money to help support this to take out the communities of coyotes. I'm sure many of us, it looks like 84% of us, would be willing to chip in more at our state parks if it said, hey, we have to increase the entry fee to $5 because we removed this competition of killing these animals. So now we want to put towards the people who want to preserve the wildlife to be able to chip in to remove this. I think if you put that on the people and said, hey, look, because we're removing this, because we think it's the right thing to do, we also are asking for your help to preserve this beautiful nation, to preserve this beautiful state. And I believe once we do see this, that we are trying, that we are saying, hey, look, this is something that we used to do. This is something that we thought brought enjoyment, and we thought this was something that was right. It's okay to understand that there's choices we make that in the future, once we learn the information that we've seen, the science that we have seen today, the statistics, the percentages of people who do not want this in their state, it's okay to say, hey, look, we said it was okay then, we're saying now it's not okay. I urge you to pass a law saying that this needs to be banned and that it's removed. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much for hearing us all out today. My name is Christy Stevens. I'm an almost 50-year resident of this great state of Nevada, and I've had the honor of leading animal welfare efforts in Southern Nevada for over a decade, currently serving as the executive director of Hearts Alive Village. Our mission has always been to advocate for those who cannot speak for themselves. And as an animal welfare leader, I have seen firsthand how deeply people care about our welfare, our wildlife, and the humane treatment of all living creatures. Our communities are more aware than ever of the need to live in harmony with the natural world, to be stewards and not destroyers. Wildlife killing contests are at odds with these values. They do not reflect who we are and who we aspire to be as a compassionate and responsible society, a humane state. As a mother who has raised 4 of her children here, the thought, listening to Larry Johnson say that it's in the DNA really frightens me. We must recognize the long-term impact on our youth and what we are teaching the next generation when we reward the slaughter of animals for prize. Compassion, empathy, and respect for all living creatures should be the values we're instilling in our kids, not the normalization of cruelty. We are so much better than this. Thank you so much.
Therese Campbell for the record. Thank you for letting me speak. I'll be brief. I am not an anti-hunter, but I am here to speak for the animals that obviously can't speak for themselves. Killing for killing's sake has no place in a civilized society, nor in the community of ethical hunters. Wildlife killing contests are giving all hunters a bad reputation. I know that's been said by a lot of people tonight. Probably everything I'm saying has been said already, but I think it bears repeating. So the only other thing I'm asking is that please don't try to legitimize killing contests by attempting to regulate them. That's not a good look either. That would be like saying we're going to try to regulate dog fighting or cockfighting. You know, it's just like that's not a good look. So in view that 10 other states, including some Western states, have already banned killing contests, I'm hoping that Nevada will be the next state to join those ranks. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Rajnitha Gupta. I'm a resident of Nevada. Thank you for the opportunity to allow me to speak today. I'm here to address something far more significant than just the wildlife affected by these killing contests. This is about saving our souls, about ensuring that the choices that we make today do not condemn us for tomorrow. The law of karma governs every living being. Every action that we take, whether kind or cruel, sets into motion consequences that will inevitably come back to us. Participating in wildlife killing contests is not just an act of violence against animals, it is an act that harms your own soul. By inflicting unnecessary suffering on innocent creatures, you are binding yourself to the same suffering, whether in this life or beyond. Karma ensures that no harm goes unanswered. One day, the pain you inflict will return to you in ways you may not expect. This is not a warning out of fear, but a call to compassion. Every life is sacred. And when we take life for sport, we devalue not only the creatures we kill, but also our own humanity. The impact of these actions reverberates beyond the immediate act. Wildlife killing contests destabilize the frequency of the planet, disrupting the natural harmony that sustains all life. The collective consciousness is weakened when we allow violence to thrive and when we contribute to a world where suffering multiplies, not just for animals, but for all of us. When we participate in such cruelty, it disconnects us from the very essence of who we are. It erodes our ability to feel empathy and compassion, making us more numb to the suffering of others, including our fellow humans. But there is always a choice. We can choose to end this cycle of violence and reclaim our souls in the process. If you truly want to save yourself and your soul, you must turn away from violence and cruelty in all forms. It's not just about banning these contests, though that is a critical first step. It's about recognizing that the consequences of harming innocent life will come back to you. That is the law of karma. That's all I have to say.
Okay, any other public comment in the room here in Las Vegas? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to the telephone lines.
If you would like to provide public comment on this agenda item, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. Again, if you would like to provide public comment on this agenda item, please press *9 now. Caller with the last 3 digits, 094, please press *6 to unmute your phone.
Yes. Yes. My name's Craig C. Downer. I'm from Minden, Nevada, and I'm a wildlife ecologist and conservationist by profession. I wanted to share the investigation I did of a hunting contest or a vermin killing contest that I did an investigation of. I recalled it the St. Valentine's Day Massacre, as it was occurred during that St. Valentine's Day weekend. 4 light-colored, full-bodied Mustangs were shot with varmint rifles designed to kill
Mr.
smaller
Downey,
animals.
if I could interrupt for about 2 seconds. I'm allowing very specific comment on coyote calling contests. We'd be glad to listen.
This did involve coyotes mainly.
All right.
I was just describing the details.
Do your best to tie it together for us, if you could, please.
Yeah, the varmint rifles emit bullets that do not explode within their victims, that pierce through so as to better preserve the hides. These once lively horses were left stretched out to agonize on the desert sagebrush slopes along the Big Hog Ranch Creek, a few hundred yards below the band's watering spring. A fur trapper, I won't give her name, had a residence several miles to the north. Accompanied by her son, she happened to be checking traps when she caught the nefarious culprits in the act. Though trappers are generally inured to animal suffering, she and her son were incensed by what they witnessed that day and took several color photographs. A number of bullet shots from close range into each of the horses left them thrashing in agony amid the sagebrush near the creek. One was a pregnant mare who aborted her fetus in her prolonged death throes. Members of the same band, 4 adult horses died agonizing deaths. The perpetrators of this unspeakable crime dashed off in their white cab-and-a-half camper-back truck upon the approach of the trappers. And they were mainly found coyotes there that they took the jaws of. And the contest was organized by the Sportsman's Warehouse there in Reno, offering a sport boat. But I did a very detailed investigation of this. And as I said before, it was above Gerlach in Washoe County and caused a lot of horrible dismay and disillusionment with our society.
So that's your 3 minutes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Wrap it up for me,
So
please.
thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you for listening to me. I don't know if this guy won the contest, but he shot those horses to attract the vermin and found several different types of animals, mostly coyotes, also bobcats, mountain lions, badgers, skunks that had come in to scavenge these remains. So this is the kind of thing that these hunting contests lead to, and it's outrageous. So I think you should vote to outlaw these hunting contests. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Downey. Thank you. Again, I'll remind everybody to be as succinct as possible. We'll try to provide a little latitude, but we can't spill over too much. I'm sure there's a lot of people that would like to speak tonight. So.
Caller with the last
Hello?
3 digits, 253, you may begin.
Hello, my name is George Forbush, and I'm the president of a newly formed association called the Nevada Predators Hunting Association. The Predator Association is a 501c4 designed to protect the hunting rights of hunters who participate in the taking of coyotes, lions, and bears. I'm an active coyote hunter who participates in coyote calling competitions. I've spoken with other coyote hunters about the proposed regulations, and at this current time, we support making amendments to Nevada Administrative Codes 503193 and 503090, which would allow for a language change requiring coyote competition hunters to have a valid hunting license or trapping license to participate in competitions during a specified season. We support this action for the following 3 reasons. 1, a trapper's license allows and encourages our hunters who take coyotes during competitions to sell their harvested pelts at the fur auction if they wish to do so. 2, a hunting license allows our resident hunters to legally shoot other predators that may be in season during a competition, but those animals may not be part of the actual competition itself. Under Nevada Administrative Code 503181, a recognized season by the Wildlife Commission gives statutory protection to coyote competition hunters and specifically states the following, quote, any regulations relating to the closure of a season must be based upon scientific data concerning the management of wildlife. The data upon which the regulations are based must be collected and developed by the department. This language is important because it offers another level of protection from those anti-hunting groups who wish to ban calling competitions altogether. The Wildlife Commission would then be forced to show and prove they have scientific data that adversely affects coyote populations to justify the closure of the season versus emotional or flawed social-based arguments that are presented by anti-hunting groups. Nevada's hunters help control predators in the very same way that Nevada trappers do. Nevada currently has a high concentration of predators that are adversely affecting other wildlife, and therefore predator hunting should be encouraged. As long as the current recommendation of regulations are not radically edited or further restrictive or other restrictive regulations are added, we support this process and further discussions. I've listened to the other comments, and no contest in Nevada encourages the killing of pregnant coyotes or the killing of wild horses as bait. The same hunting tactics used to hunt coyotes recreationally are used during the competitions. If the other side encourages recreational hunting, then that means they must support day and night hunting, the use of thermal and night vision, and they must also support
Thank you, sir. That's your 3 minutes.
Go ahead and finish up, George.
I appreciate your time. Okay.
George, you can
I
wrap
was
it.
going to say, okay, I'll be really quick. If you support recreational hunting, basically, and you're using the same tactics for recreational hunting, then I believe that argument is kind of hypocritical, is basically my point. There's no habitat loss, and if coyotes were threatened, all hunting would be regulated. Therefore, these competitions can be regulated simply based on the current population of coyotes alone. Thank you.
Caller with the last three digits, 991. Please press *6 to unmute. You may begin.
Thank you for allowing me to speak. This is Irene Payne calling in from Reno. I'll make it brief. These killing contests are an embarrassment for our state and really do not reflect who we are as a state. Ethical hunters want nothing to do with them, and as you saw on the video, the people who participate certainly don't appear ethical to me. Citizens are horrified when they actually learn about the killing contests. The large percentage of mule deer's decline lies with the loss of habitats. I believe it's really time to stop blaming coyotes for that and using that as a reason to justify what is wanton killing for fun. I really urge you to support an end to these violent, unethical wildlife killing contests. Thank you very much for allowing me to speak.
Thank you.
My name is Faye Saxton, and I contribute to and agree with coyote calling contests. I've been on both sides of the aspect as far as contest hunting and predator management for ranches, and I support the regulation to make a contest for the coyote calling seasons. The ranches that I worked for doing the predator management, their depth loss, acceptable depth loss was 18%, which amounts, and this is on a sheep herd, 18% of an $8,000 herd, mostly you get twins, you're looking at $432,000 in loss. My 1 year or 6 months there, their death loss was 8%, which was $192,000 savings. So I think the ranchers in general support the help that they get from the coyote calling contests to manage the coyote population. I just drove from Elko to Reno. I counted 12 coyotes, dead coyotes on the highway. Are we going to ban driving on the highway? The contests contribute to less than 5%, probably even less than that, of the actual coyote population in the state of Nevada. And I am ashamed that the Wildlife Commission can be threatened to reconstruct the way they are being or supporting because of their beliefs and support of the Nevada sportsman. And I do not only hunt coyotes, I hunt all big game. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners. Bryce Pollock for the record, speaking on behalf of myself. I've heard
many reasons cited tonight for why you would consider banning hunting competitions, including several references to science. Many points that I've heard are good, viable considerations for regulation, but I did not hear in the presentation any science-based argument regarding any measurable impact to the resource that could justify an outright ban. Can we point to a single competition that has impacted a population of any wildlife species beyond a single gestation period? When they abide by all state and federal laws, these competitions have no negative effect on the resource that is held in public trust. I'm not interested in the details of contests in Texas, Michigan, or Oklahoma. I can only speak in reality from personal experience derived from my own participation in a hunting contest here in Nevada. These contests are not a bloodthirsty slaughter in my experience. Coyotes are not easy to hunt. In the last competition I participated in, which has stringent rules, only 6 teams out of 100 were able to get a single coyote. 94 teams had an unsuccessful day of hunting. Conversely, Wildlife Services killed over 130 coyotes by aerial gunning the following weekend. So what are we really talking about here? We're talking about whether or not we should allow popular opinion in Washoe and Clark County to guide our wildlife management. And you need only to look at the states touted by the Humane Society that have banned competitions to see what that looks like in the future of our wildlife management. If enjoying hunting makes it unethical, we should ban mule deer hunting. And if a creepy hidden camera filming can catch a participant saying something distasteful, we would probably ban NASCAR too. Regardless of what species they involve, these competitions should follow the same standard of regulation as all of our other hunting and fishing opportunities. Sportsmen and women have an exceptional track record at self-regulating with common sense and science-based laws. On the contrary, many emotion-based and ballot box-based wildlife decisions have had disastrous results, often costing taxpayers hundreds of thousands of dollars just to meet the same ends. I would encourage this committee to maintain the track record of common sense and science-based regulation over ballot box biology and propagandized opinion. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
Again, for the record, Fred Volz. There are 5 counterpoints worth making in response to assertions by Messrs. Johnson, Reese, and Dixon. First, the wildly inaccurate claim that licensees pay virtually all the bills of the State Wildlife Department is patently false. Well over half of the over $60 million NDOW budget comes from non-hunting gun owners and anglers purchasing weapons, ammunition, and other gear, paying federal excise tax through the Pittman-Robertson and Dingell-Johnson Acts. The non-hunters paying into the system far eclipse the 13 million hunters nationwide. Second, any work done toward wildlife survival by Mr. Johnson and his fellow travelers is to ensure a steady stream of wildlife for them to kill, not for altruistic ends. They see the state of Nevada as their private hunting ranch. Third, indiscriminate mass killing of wildlife is not justified by any level of economic activity when weighed against the ecological disaster it leaves behind. That's science, not emotion. Fourth, subjectively scapegoating any species for declining deer herds leaves out the responsibility of hunters to place a moratorium on their killing of deer to give the herds time to recover. Protracted drought, wildfires, and loss of habitat have contributed to declining deer herds, along with widespread hunter-killing activities. No such science-based initiative has been proposed by hunter organizations or NDOW biologists. Fifth, ecologically disastrous policies that harm wildlife's viability doesn't stop at county boundaries. If it's scientifically unsound, it's irresponsible to allow mass killing in any corner of our state. And I would ask that these comments be added to the record verbatim. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I realize I'm a little bit off schedule. I'd like to speak in favor of the ban on wildlife hunting contests. My name is Janet Carter, Carter. And I currently live in Las Vegas, Nevada. However, I have lived in Elko County and have witnessed one of these hunts or portions of one of these hunts, and also have witnessed some of the advertisements. And frankly, I was quite disturbed when I was to see posters posted on the bulletin boards Safeway in Elko, basically advertising the event, but advertising in a way that was designed to appeal to children. Oh, we want the kids to come to this one. And, you know, I've heard and seen evidence that kids as young as 8 or 9 years old were helping to participate. And I'm concerned about that they may not have proper gun safety training, for starters, but I'm also concerned about the message that was being sent to the kids in the advertisement I sent, which is come have fun and kill animals. And I don't think that that's the right message to send to our children, that we should never, that there should always be a responsibility if you do kill an animal, that it should be done for meat or for the skins, and that when you kill the animal, you should show reverence for what you're receiving in return. And that shouldn't be an event that's let's come have fun with the kids and get out there and shoot. And yet I did see advertisements to that effect. And I do think that we need to understand that coyotes are an important part of the ecosystem. They do help tremendously to keep the rodent populations down. Their populations can be controlled in other ways. And I do believe that these type of killing contests are as much for recreation as they are for control of population. I don't have a problem with working to control the population, but I do have a problem with a contest designed to kill animals for fun. And I believe that at least is how it was advertised in the advertisements that I saw when I lived in Elko County. And thank you very much. And I hope that that legislation, or that the Wildlife Board will consider, you know, regulations that would ban these contests, or at least and strictly control the way that the populations are controlled. Thank you.
Thank you.
If you have recently joined and would like to provide public comment on this agenda item, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no other callers choosing to participate at this time.
Thank you. Okay. Very good. I really appreciate everybody being civil and respectful. That's really important in these forums. So thought everybody did a really nice job, and I appreciate that. Thank you. So with that, no additional public comment. We will move on to agenda item number 6. Let me put my glasses on. Future committee meetings and agenda items. Committee Chair Dave McNinch for possible action. The committee will take action to determine future committee agenda items or meeting dates, times, and locations. And this is fluid. So I think the intent has been to try to hold more regional type meetings, try to garner input. Nothing's been set in stone yet. So I think the intent is to do something prior to the November meeting. That may include a meeting similar to this, or a meeting in Reno. That's where the commission meeting is, and or out in the rural counties. So we'll discuss where we want to go with this. And Commissioner Booth, now would be a time if you had some thoughts on it. Otherwise, we'll kind of.
I appreciate the opportunity, and it was nice to hear both sides of the story. I viewed the committee meeting this evening as just a discussion of the issues so that we can take it to the commission. So thank you.
So, and I don't think Commissioner Walters back online. I suspect he's probably still in transit. So, so with that, I think it's reasonable to say expect another meeting. I don't know that we're going to be doing a whole lot more. You know, it's again, we're here to garner input, and that's kind of the intent of the committee right now. And so I think possibly in the next month and a half, you'll see another meeting set up, and whether it's identical to this or not, we'll find out. But there'll probably be a little similar flair to it to gather input. So with that, it is an action item, so I will open it up for public comment on future committee meetings and agenda items. Is there any public comment here in Las Vegas in the room? Okay, thank you. Okay. Any additional comments, future committee meetings and agenda items here in Las Vegas? Okay. Is there any public comment on the telephone?
If you would like to provide public comment on this agenda item, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Again, if you would like to provide public comment on this agenda item, please press star 9 now. Chair, there are no callers choosing to participate at this time.
Thank you. With that, we will move on to agenda item number 7, public comment period. Persons wishing to speak are requested to sign in. Public comment will be limited to 3 minutes. No action can be taken by the committee at this time. However, the committee may consider items brought up to be scheduled on a future committee agenda. Is there any public comment here in Las Vegas in-house here? Okay, seeing none, we'll move to the telephone lines. Is there any public comment on the telephone?
If you would like to provide public comment, please press star 9 now. Again, if you would like to provide public comment for the final round of public comment, please press star 9 now.
Hi, sorry for missing the last comment period. This is Kathy Smith, Washoe County, for the record. I just wanted to briefly say, is this really a hill hunters want to die on? We know this isn't based in biological science, or at least we should. I don't understand why there's such a lack of understanding that these decisions are based in social science, or is hunter opinion alone somehow science? We all know that emotion and maybe some profit is at the root of desire for these contests to continue. And I hate to break it to some of you, killing coyotes will not create more deer. And it is actually concerning that some of you seem to think it will. These contests can both decrease or increase coyote populations in different situations. Does killing an animal matter if you, as a hunter, don't care if they exist? Does it matter if it doesn't significantly affect the population? Why did the department help the bear injured in the fire? Did the death of that bear affect the bear population? Clearly, the non-hunting public cares about individuals, and the department was capitalizing on it. Does this commission care about individuals, how they are killed, why they are killed? Was it okay to torture that wolf in Wyoming before she was killed? What about a coyote? Two interesting facts, though, is there is apparently a good deal of discomfort with these contests since so many hunters are unwilling to call them what they are, killing contests. Euphemisms like harvest, culling, and other terms disconnect us from the consequences of our actions. The end action here is killing, so it is fascinating that many are uncomfortable, even offended. Is it a lack of insight or just denial? The second interesting fact is that I literally saw a sportsman cry when some sheep died of thirst years ago because a guzzler wasn't functioned. So I witnessed a very emotional reaction to sheep dying. It was tragic to me too, especially when it's preventable. So it's confusing to me that these same sportsmen can't understand how we can be upset about these contests when these deaths are not only preventable, they are directly caused by hunters for fun and prizes. Is this really what you would call conservation? Is that what hunting is about, seeing who can kill the largest, youngest, or smallest coyote? I have heard the line between good and evil goes right through every human heart. Where would you place killing contests, in the good part or the evil part? Thank you very much for listening to my comment, and sorry it was late.
Thank you.
Yes, for the record, Fred Volz, there's an ask I'd like to insert into the meeting tonight. The Wildlife Commission has had a very spotty record of making its meetings consistently accessible for people who can't travel to their physical meeting site. So for any subsequent meetings that are being called, it is essential that you give the whole state access through this type of online connection and call-in ability to comment. So I hope that NDOW can get it together and make sure that that happens for any subsequent meetings. Thank you.
Thank you.
If you have recently joined and would like to provide public comment, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Again, if you would like to provide public comment, please press star 9 now. Chair, there are no other callers choosing to participate at this time.
Thank you. And before we adjourn, I just want to, if I haven't done so already, this was a difficult meeting to get arranged. And Linda, you are the backbone of this place oftentimes. So thank you so much. And I appreciate the rest of staff that help get this organized. It's not easy down here. It's hard to find a place. And I really appreciate your effort. Thank you. Did a great job. All right. And with that, we will stand adjourned.